Hi, I'm Jason from Acropolis Spirits. We're in the Piper Whisky bar on George Square. This is Hauf and Underinformed, a podcast where we're going to be talking to people around the city about their lives and their experience with whisky so far. So sit back, grab a dram, enjoy the show. Sanj. Right, welcome to the first episode of Hauf and Underinformed. We'll be talking to people throughout the whisky industry about life in general and their story in whisky so far. Today we've got Marcos McCurley of no known origin so far. Do you want to give us a wee bit about yourself, Marcos?
Yeah, thanks very much, man. So my name's Marcos McCurley. I've been in the whisky industry for about 4 years. Previously just doing a brand ambassador role for about 16 months for North Star Spirits. And I'm now off to my next part of my journey, which we may find out later on, who knows, they might get it out of me. But no, I've absolutely adore about 4 years, as I say, working in whisky, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. It's been a whirlwind. So
I'm glad it's me and Anton kind of started drinking whisky. Well, I forced Anton to start drinking whisky about 2 years ago.
Okay.
But I went to my first tasting, it was East City Whisky Club.
Yep.
Joe Gary.
Yeah, Joe did.
Very good guy. I feel bad because it's my first tasting. I'm going to the end of this month. It's North Star again. I thought North Star getting mentioned. But no, and it was just by chance. We were selling rum. Gary was in the pub and he invited me along to a tasting. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go. I went and I was spoiled right from the off because it was 6 different drams. It was an independent bottler.
Fantastic.
And I was like, I was realising straight away that stuff off the shelf that I was buying off the shelf was pretty shit. Compared to what, no shit, just boring compared to what I was tasting, because you're tasting cask finishes, full maturation, sherry casks and stuff like that, and I was like, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
But again, you're finding your feet. Like it's hard to learn that.
Do you know that there's so much that's happening with independent bottling, and like you were saying before, like you'd go into the supermarket and you'd maybe buy like a Glenfiddich 12, and you know every time you buy a Glenfiddich 12, it's good. That's why so many people around the world buy it. But to go a little bit different, to go from the kind of a market which it's aimed at people that, you know, maybe are just, as I say, picking up a dram first time, whatever, or getting into it. It's consistency. That's what they're aiming for, these big brands. And it's amazing, you know. Wherever you go around the world, if you try a Glenfiddich 12 or a 15 or 18, you know what you're getting, right? It's gorgeous, right? But then when you start to go to independent bottling and you're trying maybe a whiskey that's been fully matured, for example, like a Takai cask, or it's been finished in rum, and it's at a higher ABV and it's not been chill filtered, and it's, you know, you find out the provenance of it and where the rum came from. It's absolutely amazing. And then you delve right down that rabbit hole of everything that's going on, and it's amazing. You're learning all the time.
I was finding it fucking mental. Like, again, like when I was finding stuff out, Anton was asking me questions, and I'm like, this is only what I know. But there's you've mentioned casks there that I've never heard of. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And we're starting a podcast about whiskey, and I'm like, I don't know anything about that.
But the thing about it is,
cask that you said?
Well, so you have like the likes of rum cask that you've got, Tokai. So Tokai is a Hungarian like dessert wine. It's a dessert wine, but you can get like a really sweet version, a little bit of drier version. And it's just incredible, you know, what's been happening. And I never knew about it. I mean, funnily enough, my ex-partner was from Hungary, so I drank a lot of Tokai. It's fantastic. It's absolutely amazing. And I'm not a big white wine person, but I'd say Tokai is maybe similar to like a Riesling, like that kind of German sweet dessert wine. But I'm not a big wine person, but I'm starting to get into a little bit more. But seeing the different influences with the casks that come through, just with that little short time, maybe it could be 6 months, maybe it could be a couple of years, maybe it could be a full term, like a red wine, for example. And it's absolutely, it's just amazing. Like when you get into independent bottling.
I was at a tasting, and it was just wine finishes. It was
fantastic.
I thought it's no Goldfinch. Pintail.
Yeah, okay.
And I was amazed at his store, like how much stuff that you can get that's so different. And I was like, this is mental. But then again, just even daft things I was learning, like their pals, what's their name? Glasshouse Spirits.
Yeah, good guys, Gillian and Paul, yeah.
But they said they fully matured something in a wine cask and just completely overcooked it. And I was like, just all these things you would never know. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, there's so much to whiskey that I find is interesting. I think other people, which is the point of the podcast, I think other people find that interesting, that whiskey isn't just like all guys in a pub. It's
everyone.
It's everybody. Exactly. And the other thing I'm finding is that people think it's an all guys drink all the time. And people say whiskey's not for me because I've tried maybe something off a shelf. And then, for example, actually, there's a good example. I had the three of them at an event on last Monday, right?
Okay.
And somebody came up, tasted the first one, very harsh, and arguably that's the easiest drinking one because it's very, in fact, that'll be the first one at pour.
Okay.
But they came up and they said, basically, this is too rough, it's too strong, it's too much to it. Tried the next one, oh, that's lovely. Tried the third one, oh, that's brilliant. I said, well, watch this, try the first one again. Tried it, goes, oh, that's the best one now.
Yeah.
And then you go, well, if that's the way you're taking that into whiskey that you've maybe tried and you fell over the ABV, that you might not try whiskey again just because it's maybe 51%. You're going, that's too strong, don't understand it. Yeah. I'm not trying that again, whiskey's not for me. But there is a pure range of stuff that you can try that is good.
Do you know, this is the thing. I mean, if you'd asked...
Sorry, I'll start pulling these down, you keep talking.
If you'd asked me 10 years ago if I'd be working in the whiskey industry, I'd have laughed, right? I never drank for 5 years, so I'm making up for it now with trying all these amazing drams, right? Thank you. But I think it's
Sorry,
about...
I would have gave you that one, but that one's dirty. I don't want to give you the
I think that, like, when I started to first get into whiskey and you delve deeper, one of the first whiskey, I mean, you try like your blends, try your Johnny Walkers, right? You've got that consistency there, you know, you've got your black label. Some people aspire to maybe having like a Johnny Walker Blue, you know, a little bit more of that kind of luxury premium. Mm-hmm. But once you start to get into whiskey, and I started to try it, and then the first single malt that I tried was Ardmore. Now, Ardmore, kind of near Aberdeenshire, it's the same group that Beam Suntory that own Glengarry and Auchentoshan, of course Lafroig and Bamore. But I started to fall in love with Ardmore, and it's famously known for being a peated Highland. Mm-hmm. Right?
That's straight in my head there.
And I really liked it. It's Ardmore Legacy, and it's bottled at 40%. It's really good. I quite like this. And you know, it's your 40%. You start to delve into it, and I'm not one of these people that's snobby about 40%, 43. I think there's a time and a place for it. You know, you can get cash strength drams which are like, you know, I've tried stuff at like 66, 67%. It's strong, right? But you get used to it, and you know, and water's always help. I know you've got water here, had a wee drop in. But talking about how whiskey relates in terms of, you know, how you get into whiskey. The only person that drank whiskey in my family, well, my nan's partner drank whiskey. He loved a single malt, and my granny loved Teacher's Highland Cream. Right? And I found out that the prime component for Teacher's Highland Cream was Ardmore. So I've now got a wee kind of soft spot for Ardmore Distillery because that was my granny's tipple. She liked that dram. It's interesting how it works out, but no, you're right in terms of, you know, don't let the ABV put you off. Don't let the cask type, just give it a try. Mm-hmm. Go back to it. Your palate, for people that might not drink higher spirit, first time you try it might be a bit of a shock. But maybe me and you and yourself are drinking higher ABV drams and going, okay, that's a bit too easy to drink. It's 53%. And you start to get used to it.
You do, you start getting a taste for it. It's I was talking to somebody today, I can't remember where, but I was talking about the reference, I call it match fit. It's like football. Like, see if you're it works for anything. See if you're talking about you're going to work and you get up for work every day at 5 in the morning. You're doing that, you're easy, it's when you're match fit. See if you're drinking 63% drams at every tasting, every month or every couple of weeks or every week, you're match fit. And then you go back to a 40%, you're like, this is...
And do you know the thing is, it's like when they talk about like people who are blenders, so I was like, there's no way a blender can drink all these drams and taste all these samples at this ABV, but they don't, they'll reduce them down. A lot of them will reduce them down to 20%, they'll reduce them down to maybe 20%.
Cheating bastards.
And what they do is they'll try it, and sometimes they won't even swallow it, but they just taste it in the palate, and right, okay, because more of the flavour's coming through, you're breaking down the alcohol in there, and you can identify more of the character that's coming through. But I mean, I've tried some really good stuff, and people go, oh, so what's the oldest whiskey that you've tried? My favourite whiskey is 8 years old. It's an 8-year-old Caligula. It's my favourite whiskey, and I've tried some really cool stuff.
Aye. Do you know, I've only tried one Caligula that I liked. I can't remember what for the life of me it was. But see, because I was like, I can't remember, as I say, I can't remember for the life of me what it was, but I know I tried it, and it was an independent bottler. I want to say it might have been Single Cask Nation that I tried.
Cool. It. Brilliant stuff as well from them.
Again, tried the first Bowmore that I liked for him.
Fantastic.
Class, loved it. Here we're talking about other people's whiskies, we're actually here for our whiskey. Right,
but do you know what? I'm just going to jump in there. That shows you that, and I'm not like explaining it, that to me is really good when you see when another independent, someone who loves whiskey is talking about other brands. That's someone that likes whiskey.
Yeah.
That's someone that enjoys whiskey.
Because I think it's your your nature is if you're selling something to trash the opposition, but if you trash the opposition, where you go?
Whiskey, no, I think in whiskey it's a really good community to be in, where we're all talking about each other's whiskies, because you're confident in what you're doing if you do that, rather than saying, oh, you know, I wasn't a big fitter, I wasn't. There's a lot of good independent bottlers out there. There's a lot of good, of course. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the distilleries as well that make this spirit. And then you'll go there and you'll have a cask that's you could maybe purchase it when it's new make, and you can mature it right from the start and kind of guide its way through. Maybe you take a bourbon cask for 8 years and you want to do a different maturation, or you try it and go, this is absolutely banging, right? Gonna leave it for maybe another year or so, just get it ready, right? We'll go for it. And that is the beauty of independent.
I'm glad you said bourbon cask there, because that's proper.
Is that the first? Is this the first dram?
So this is your first one. This is the Diluin. Me and Anton tried this 2 years ago.
Okay.
No, maybe a year and a half ago. I'm no good with dates or memory, so you'll probably find that out.
Okay, that's all right.
But it's a Diluin, 10 years old, fully matured in a bourbon cask. This one was, I'm sorry, I poured monster drams there because I did realise we've got 3 today and a pint. But this was my favourite by far when we got it, because it smelled different to what it tasted like. But it lasted another 6 months in the cask before we bottled it, and the smell kind of changed, which again was like the difference in 6 months.
I like that.
I'm glad. I'm fucking freaking out if you didn't.
Good start.
How are you with tasting notes and stuff?
Do you know, I always try and make tasting notes really personal, but sometimes you can't do that. I remember doing tasting notes for when I started at North Star, and we bottled a Tilly Barden, and it was amazing. It was like a lot of peaches coming. It was a fantastic, like, ginger snap cookies. And on the finish, I went, I don't know why this whiskey reminds me of my nan. It's really sweet and gentle, so we put that on the tasting notes in the bottle.
Sweet and gentle. That's
sweet and gentle like my nan, and I was like, do you know what? I was like, do you know what? That's it was funny how we done it, because I remember my nan's not a whiskey drinker, and this is an amazing pub, the Piper, but we done a tasting in the Bon Accord. Got so much time for Thomas, absolute legend, brilliant. And I said to my nan, do you want to come along and to the whiskey taste? She went, I can't, I'm volunteering at charity shop. And I went, Nan, you're mentioned on a bottle of whiskey. And she was like, where and when? It was amazing. And we done the tasting, and I remember introducing the dram, and my flatmate at the time was, oh, cheers to your nan and all that. And she went, I'm going to murder you. You never told me you were going to do that. But the thing about it is me and my nan will always remember that day, that definitely. Tasting, and it was great that I done it. But I'm okay for tasting notes. My partner, who works in the industry, is phenomenal with tasting notes.
So what does she do? Because I know mate, I'm sorry, I've fucking followed you on Instagram for a couple of years, right? So it was just because of that video we were talking about, the 800,000 views of you introducing yourself. I kind of knew your missus worked in the, sorry for calling her the missus, but worked in the industry. So my partner Olivia, she works for marketing in the Borders distillery. All right.
She's worked in the industry longer than me, and she's absolutely amazing at what she does. Her tasting notes, like what she knows about whiskies, just blows my mind.
And how old is she?
She's 22.
See, that's a good...
22.
That's a good...
and she's like on the ball with whiskey. One of the smartest people I've met in whiskey. I can't bum her up any more than that. She is absolutely class at what she does.
Clap it, Paul. We'll send it to you, Paul.
Okay, that's me in the good books. No,
I was going to ask you for your tasting notes, but I think we might need half of the tasting.
No, she's
probably the right person, right?
You definitely do. No, I remember one time I was trying an antiquary. Antiquary is a blend that's owned by the same people that own Tomatin, and it was beautiful. It was from the 1970s, and it was bottled near Queensferry, and it's kind of near where I stay. And I poured a dram of it, and she was on the other side of the room, and she went, that's apples. And what? It's like, no way can you smell it from the other side of the room. And I was like, this is witchcraft going on here. This is amazing.
What do you make of this?
I think it's lovely. I think it's really fresh. It's clean. I think the ABV is good as well at 51%. So with the ABV, so I've noticed they're all 51.
Yeah. So
you just dilute it a wee bit with water.
So that one came at 53%, 56 and 63, believe it or not. That's 10 years in a Oloroso sherry cask.
Beautiful colour on it.
Mental, mate. Looks like tonic wine, but again, that was 63 when it came.
Right.
And I remember seeing it and it looked like tar. Even though the way it looked very viscous when it was in, because it decanted it into the IBC. And I was looking to go on, that looks metal. And I was going to take a taste of it, but we'd already printed the labels because we want people to try whiskey.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that there's different tastes to whiskey. And what I said earlier about people getting caught up in the ABV being a problem, I think if you try any three of the whiskies at 51%, for example, then you can find something you like, and you won't blame the ABV as a point, as a problem.
Well, do you know the thing is, with bottling it at 51%, you've still got the provenance of, it's at higher ABV. You're going to get a bit more flavour coming through there. Of course, the colour that you can see is natural colour as well that's coming through them. So, no, I think that with that, it means you can add a little bit of water to it.
Yeah.
You know, if you think it's a little bit too much. And that's the most important thing is, you're right? That is the exact thing to get into independent bottling. You want people to try whiskey. And maybe people that have never wanted to go down the route of having a single up. Similar to, like,
as I said, me, when we started this, Jason was badging on, try whiskey. You drank whiskey before we bought these. And all tried Famous Grouse, White Mackay, went to Guy's one.
It was
Went to a few, you start trying all these beautiful whiskies, and then you start going, why is it that colour, why is it that taste? Go down the rabbit hole, and then suddenly, I love single malts.
That's it, you know.
It's crazy as well, and I think the thing is, like, that only got 160 bottles of it, or 161. Says 210 on the side, because I was learning about if you go under, you need to reprint your labels, and I was like, that'll put me under. But again, it's one of the ones where I was pleased with how it turned out. Fuck me, I love that one. Yeah. But I'm gutted that it's got the least amount of it.
That's your favourite, isn't it?
The thing about it is as well, because it's bourbon maturation, you know, as you say, with, like, if you're matured in sherry and it's been far too long in the sherry, it's just going to taste like really strong alcoholic sherry, right? It's the same if you put it maybe in port too long. You need to have that fine balance, and that's where, as I say, with independent bottling and also cask selection comes in. Will I transfer another cask? Leave it? Is it ready to bottle? Does it need a bit more time?
Yeah.
But with bourbon, you get the distillery character coming through. You can't mask a bad cask through a good bourbon. So
I wish I could record you saying that, because I've been trying to say that in a pure handicapped way. Sorry for saying handicapped, but I've been pure saying that in a way that doesn't make sense. But I'm saying, like, if you try it in a bourbon cask, it's almost as if it's the way the distillery wants you to try it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's just your standard way, and the distillery would probably be more likely to say, like, that's how it's to be presented.
If you speak to, like, a lot of people that have been drinking whiskey for years, well, it's me, my kind of personal preferences. I like a lot of whiskies that have been matured in a bourbon cask. Whether it been in a refill bourbon, it's been left for a couple of decades, or fresh bourbon cask for 10, 12 years. You're right. It's trying to explain, like, in terms of explaining and saying, well, that's kind of the true spirit that's coming through, rather than being in a really active sherry cask for 12, 15 years. And you're like, wow, this is, you know, it's darker than tar, as you say. But no, I think that's really fresh and clean and free.
So, to the biting questions, mate, where's your name originating from, Marcos?
Right, so
isn't it Marcus? It's no. Right, plus you've got a funny team that you support as well, which is very apt, because Rangers are playing them tonight.
They are playing them tonight, and I remember when you're saying to me, like, we'll come along and do the podcast, and then I looked at the date and I went, Club Brugge have got it through, and they've got they've joined Rangers. They're playing them tonight, but no, it's Marcos McCurley. Where does that name come from? That is a funny question. When I started as a brand ambassador, I remember visiting a retailer called Dram Whisky. Or there's no tin in Tyndrum, right? And a lovely guy called Craig that runs it, who's such a kind-hearted person. I've got so much time for him. And I went right up there, near Cranlarrick, up to Tyndrum. And he sat down, he goes, Marcos McCurley. And I was like, yeah. And he went, that's not a real name.
That was that stage name.
I was like, what? It's not a real name. And he went, you've made that up. And I was like, no, it's a real name. And he went, where does it come from? And I went, well, actually, that's a good question. I don't know. Just my mum liked cool names. My big brother's Stefan and my wee brother's called Arlo. So they turned. I went, right, I'm going to find out. And I remember asking my mum one time, like, where did Marcos come from? And she went, we really liked this programme in the 80s called El Dorado. Now, El Dorado is like, I've heard, it's basically like EastEnders, but set in Spain. And Marcos was the bad guy in it. I was like, so I'm named after an absolutely horrendous TV show in Spain, and I'm the baddie. And when I tell people that, see people that are like a little bit older, kind of like my mum and dad's age, they just look at me and go, "Your mum and dad subjected you to that?" I was like, "Yes." I thought it was named after like some sort of like coolest South American actor, or like some Italian singer. No, El Dorado.
So there's no family heritage that goes back there?
No. Everybody says, "Oh, you're Italian," or that. No.
I think I said to Paul, Marcos, no Marcus. And I was like, it's a no. And I was like, I don't know, I'm sure there's something, but I need to speak to him. There we go. So that's me. And then you were telling us about, because I did say, we'll go and have a pint, watch football if you've got time. I don't think you're going to get away with being a Bruges fan in Glasgow.
I think people like that, really, you're a Club Bruges fan? I was like, yeah, I'm a Club Bruges fan. How, like, I've been supporting them for years. So all my family are pretty much Blackburn Rovers fans. They picked them the year that was like 94, 95. Jack Walker put a lot of money in. You had SAS up front, Sutton and Shearer. So right, that's it. We're going to be Blackburn Rovers fans. I used to go there. And I loved going there, going to Ewood Park. But I was like, no, I need to pick my team. And I remember I went on holiday with my nan to Bruges down in Belgium. I absolutely fell in love with this place, and I really liked the film in Bruges. And I was like, right, okay, I don't have a team. No, I'm going to pick Club Bruges. I like the kit, the blue and what as they call it, blue and black, and I've been supporting them ever since. And my great granny's Belgian, so I was like, yeah, that can have a good fit. So just there you go.
Class. I've never been to Bruges.
Oh, a beautiful place, beautiful place.
Me and this is the worst claim to fame. I think me and Anton have been out one up watching in Bruges before. Along with 12 Years a Slave. That was a half film.
Yeah, and Bruges is good, man.
Aye, great film. I'd love to go and visit it. It was class in the film. I'm sorry that I've not brought my glasses to the table.
That's all right.
So you already spoke about this, but did you find... You spoke about Ardmore and stuff, getting into whiskey, but did you find there was a particular path after that, or did you just go from like the Highlands down?
Do you know, it's interesting because people say, like, some people argue that different regions have different flavour profiles, but it depends on what you've been maturing in, how you create your spirit, the fermentation time, the distillation time, the types of the stills, where you're maturing. There's so many different factors when you're making whiskey, right? It's a very hard working industry, right? People don't think of the distillers that have been sitting in basically a distillery at 40 degree heat. We're all suffering at 28 degrees, like for example at the weekend, and it's like 40 degrees in there, and they're not allowed to wear shorts because of health and safety. They're cooking, right?
I don't.
It's you do not begrudge them. It's hard going, and it's very working class, and working class men and women that do it, that create this beautiful spirit and put it into a cask. I think that I remember doing a tour in Glasgow, and I went round and I started to learn about whiskey. Started to learn about the history. I was kind of geeky with that. And I thought to myself, this is phenomenal, man. Why am I not getting involved in this? And then you start to get a little bit more invested in it, and then you start to buy your first official bottlings. You start to like what you like. And then you start to go, right, this independent bottling, what is this? And they've taken, a spirit from... they've taken an Ardmore and they've maybe finished it in a Lafroig cask, and you're like, all right, okay, I quite like this. And then you start to learn about small distilleries. Like I love Campbelltown. I adore Campbelltown. They're the loveliest people I've ever met, and they make some beautiful whiskey up there. You've got your Kilkerran, you've got your Springbank. It's very, famous, amazing distillery. You've got Glen Scotia as well. And it was known as the whiskey capital of the world at one point. It's crazy.
4 distilleries or something?
Yeah, so you've got Glen Scotia, you've got Kilkerran, and then you've got Springbank, which produce Springbank, Hazelburn and Longbow. So there's technically 5 different kind of single malts that come out there, products. And it's absolutely incredible and learning about that history. I mean, I couldn't believe that back in, I believe it was 1800s, right? In Campbelltown, the wealthiest street in Britain was in Campbelltown. That's mad. Forget London and all, that was in Campbelltown. I was like, this is insane.
That's mental. I've never been to Campbelltown, but I have found that, kind of story time. I was in Valhalla's Goat in the West End, and I was talking to Phoebe, and I was dishing out like samples.
Phoebe's lovely. Lovely.
She was great. She is great. Yeah. I've on my top to-do list is to go back and see her if I get sample bottles for her. But they had, where they'd done a wee tasting, the next day it said, for a nice person. I looked at it, and it was when they brought out Springbank cask strength.
Yeah.
and it said on it for a nice person.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty good. That's good timing here because I might get my hands on this. And basically what they said, I said, look, I'm looking to buy a bottle of whiskey because I was standing next to a wall of whiskey. I think I probably earned or spent more money than I earned that day. But see, I seen that cask and I looked to my left and it was a Hazelburn. It was the 8-year-old.
Yeah, Oloroso matured.
Oloroso.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Gorgeous, isn't it?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really good dram.
Even my girlfriend, my girlfriend, I was like, opened it, poured a dram, and she kind of doesn't think, like, she's like, oh, you're just got, like, even tonight she thinks, oh, I'm going out with my pals to enjoy myself. And I'm like, no, it's kind of work. But I'm still boozing. But I let her try it, and she's like, and I seen her drift off into the distance, she's like, that smells really good. And I was like, that done, like, that took you to somewhere, didn't it? Like, you were thinking about something there, and I was like, that's exactly what quite a lot of whiskey does to people. And she's like, that was quite good, that smells really, like, I think I would maybe enjoy it. I'd let her try it, she hated it. But it was just one of the things where I was like, that feeling of smelling something going, fucking hell, and just drifting away.
It brings a lot of, like, for me, whiskies, if it wasn't for whiskey, I'd never met my girlfriend, right? So it's the best thing, regardless, you know, if I never worked in whiskey tomorrow, it'd be the best thing I ever did because I met my partner. Met at a whiskey festival.
How many men were you?
Not that many, actually.
No?
Not that many. But we met and just, that was it, you know. Love's young dream, as they call
Love's
it.
young dream, man.
But no, you know, it's amazing what whiskey can do. And I think that you're right. Whiskey can take you to different places. Whiskey can, for me, whiskey's about people and stories. And I think it's very important today to be able to tell a story about it. I was speaking to actually a few friends about this, how whiskey's evolving, whiskey's changing. There is a lot of whiskey out there, and you need to try and have your own unique identity, but most importantly, just be authentic. That's the most important thing. And if your goal is to just for other people to just drink whiskey should be accessible to everybody. It should be fun, and it shouldn't be gatekept. It should be enjoyed because it's an amazing. I think it's the best spirit in the world. My two favourite drinks are whiskey and Guinness. That's my two favourite things, and I think they go very well hand in hand. Is that why I'm on the podcast? Right, okay, there we go. So we're clipping that one. There we go. Whiskey and Guinness. He's sorted.
Whiskey and Guinness. I went downstairs and ordered 2 Guinness, and they poured one in a whiskey glass, one in a Guinness glass, and one in just a plain glass. And I was like, this is good sound, man. I was like, I can't do this to the pub. Like, the first thing people are going to say is that Guinness is not the right glass. So I'm glad that we changed it, but the guy does look he's going to murder me, man. So I've got to stop asking him for stuff.
See, in between me and your girlfriend at the Whiskey Fest and how you get into whiskey, how did you get into the whiskey industry? Where you're working in the whiskey industry?
So I've told a couple of people this, right? Sounds like it's getting all like deep and all that, but when I started to work, I worked at Clydeside Distillery.
Sorry, I'll be decided again.
No, that's fine.
Old, man. I'm getting my hat too.
Clydeside Distillery is a tour guide, and after a few days, I was like, I want to be a brand ambassador. I love this. I've just fallen head over heels for whiskey.
Was this around about the same time, like as in like?
No, this would have been 4 years ago. So I done that tour guide for about a year, and then I left. And I went to Glengoyne. And Glengoyne was like a local distillery to me. And they make beautiful whiskey, amazing spirit as well. And they've got, you know, they distill in the Highlands and they mature in the Lowlands, and that's their story, and they've been going since the 1800s. But it was known kind of at that time that, like, you want to be a brand ambassador. I was like, of course I do. I'd love to, you know, go out and I could chat the hind legs off a donkey. But I just like the people. And I was there for about a year, and the opportunity came up for Nostar. And some amazing people in the industry put my name forward and went, you're so enthusiastic. And I was like, well, hopefully you can see that, right? I just like talking about whiskey. But going back to what you're saying about how I got into it, I was going to as many whiskey tastings as possible, meeting as many people in the industry, and just being interactive and socialising and learning and reading. And it's the best thing I've ever did. It is such a good industry to be in, and there's really good people in it, and that's going back to kind of like talking about other brands, and that's amazing hearing you guys talk about Single Cask Nation. Their stuff's great, their stuff's brilliant, and about Nostar and Pintail, you know, they're all they're all putting out different things, and it's just going round and trying all these, and they all have their little kind of signature in what they do, and it just keeps it fresh, keeps it exciting, doesn't it? And I think that's where independent bottling is so interesting, and why people are like, no, I want to go down that route, find something a little bit different.
So, wasn't for the other companies, when you would be sitting here for your whiskies?
No,
we still like, I don't like whiskey.
So you've used that as like, excuse me, so you've used that as like an inspiration to go, well, do you know what? I like whiskey. I want to get involved in it.
Yeah.
You know, you want to get involved in whiskey for good reasons, you know. Get your stuff out there. Because that's what I'm saying. I like the bottles, and they're really cool. I've never seen this bottle type before, so.
As I say, we were spoiled. Right from the off, we were going to whiskey tastings that were independent bottlers, and I was like, this is dynamite. It was just because you were tasting, and I think, do you know what it was? I think I was tasting bottles of, getting a full bottle of 70cl and going, right, I've got this, and this is going, and I still have them. Like, I still have a whiskey shelf, but most of the bottles are useless because I'm not really interested. I'm more interested in the independent bottling side, the different cask finishes, like the Oloroso 8-year-old for
Hazelburn's beautiful.
Like, that's my favourite whiskey, just because I found that just by chance. And then the other thing was, I says to Anton, I was like, I've ordered 3 of these bottles. Glasshouse Spirits have just done their Buckfast release. I don't know if you've seen the bottle. Were you for Glasgow?
I did. I seen that. I thought, do you know what? That's cool.
It's cool, mate.
It's cool. It's quite striking. I was like, do you know what? I like that. And Gillian and Paul, I've met them a few times before. Really nice guys. You know, and their stuff. I've tried some of their stuff, and it's good. That is good. So
that is very good, aye. Right, I'm going to pull you another dram.
Right.
Give me 2 seconds, Paul. I'm going to chuck it here for a second. I just need to go and grab things.
You talk about your top 2 drinks, my top 3 are the Guinness, whiskey, and Buckfast is always with that.
That's right, Buckfast.
Yeah,
I think I only had Buckfast once when I was 14. It was outside the school gates in secondary. It was quite good, to be fair. It was good over ice cream. So.
What?
Oh. Have you never had Buckfast ice cream before?
No.
I'm sure I had that once.
You finished that one?
The guys who made me, I used to work with, they made me a Buckfast. No, I'm done. A Buckfast milkshake, but in an actual shaker.
Oh, right, okay.
Buckfast ice cream and a bit of cream, gorgeous. Something about the creaminess of the ice cream takes away the tartness of the Buckfast. They just work well together. Maybe if you're a Celtic fan or like a Bruce fan, you would drink Buckfast.
I think he's trying to be political, mate. I think he is.
But
a Celtic fan, I think he's just trying to.
The camera's off, it's fine. We're back to the same team tonight anyway.
Aye, we're all back to the same team tonight, don't worry. Right, back on to the second dram. The second dram we've got is Tia Innick,
right.
12 years old, 10 years of bourbon cask, 2 years in a red wine hot Brion Barrique, which is
okay.
French red dinner wine in it.
Right, okay.
Owned by the Lithuanian royal family, I believe.
Wow.
It's one of the aliens.
That sounds really interesting.
Somebody told us that and we took it as gospel.
No, I googled it, mate.
Did you fact check it?
No, I fact checked it, but as I say, I can't fucking remember it. So much left in this. You go for it. Well, I talked about red wine finishes before and how you were saying about drinking certain red wines and drinking certain wines. Anton, I always knew Anton had liked red wine, but it was weird how it loved red wine. Well, do you know, funny enough, see, since we got that and started drinking red wine cask finishes, I was like, oh, this is class. Like, I was thoroughly enjoying drinking red wine.
Yeah.
Because and you can get the flavours of what it was, but then again, it's in whiskey. So you're getting wee bits here, you're getting the dryness, you're getting stuff like that. I thoroughly enjoy red wine, but it's because of that cask finish. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's brilliant. Like,
well, do you know what the thing is it's like the colour, it's not been. With red wine, it needs to be. Red wine's quite interesting with. It's on my personal. So some people might go, oh no, I love red wine finishes. And I do, but you need to kind of strike a perfect balance because it can go over a bit too much where it becomes really dry. Whereas if you get the perfect balance, it can be quite juicy and quite fresh, depending on the red wine maturation. All different casks will kind of change the spirit type or the flavour coming through. But I like Tia Innick Distillery. It's a very interesting distillery, owned by Diageo. I think there's about 10 million litres that go through there. And they've got a hammer mill and a mash filter. There's only, I think, another 2 distilleries in Scotland that have got one. One of them's going to be Brewdog, but they don't know the name of the distillery yet. Another one's Inchdairney, and it makes a really clear wort. So because the wort, so that's when you have fermentation, and it makes it very, very fruity, almost like really grassy. Coming through. But
I'm glad you started explaining that, because me and you would have been fucking close.
I was smiling not there.
I was seeing that one there as well. But me and Anton are of the opinion where, like, we never came from the side of being, like, no geeky about it, but we're no
Technical side.
we're not into the technical side. We love what whiskey does and what whiskey is. Whiskey is getting people together, having a dram in a nice pub, the Piper, like in here.
Exactly, yeah.
Like I was in a tasting in here last week, 2 weeks ago. Beautiful place to have. This is where you're meant to have tastings like this. I just think that some people get wrapped up in it, and more power to them. If that's what they love, then that's it. But it's just I wasn't very good in school, so I don't think I'm going to be good at
no, I don't
research
doubt
and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
No, don't. Do you know? You don't doubt yourself at all. It's like, I think that when I've done whiskey tastings and I've spoke about whiskey and where it comes from, going back to talking about stories, I think that if you've had 4 drams, there'll be people that are really interested in, you know, the angle of a liner, right, and a still. Would you talk about that 4 drams in? Probably not. But some people will still be interested in that. I think people, and again, this is just through personal experience, but I think that experiences and stories and talking about the dram and all these different things that are happening. I mean, some of the stories I could tell you, you know, when I was at my time at Northstar, were brilliant, fantastic. You know, some of the things that I did, Glendronach 31s, which were like, it's a phenomenal dram. I think because I poured, you know, Glendronach 31 for a few people when I started, absolutely gorgeous dram. But learning about that, it's kind of like a unicorn dram. There's so many different things out there. But no, don't doubt yourself about you need to be technical, or I think if you're passionate about it, if you're passionate about whiskey, that's the most important thing to be, you know.
That's what I think it is. For me, so far, whiskey is about meeting folk, because I'm still on the stage where I'm meeting loads of folk at tastings. I meet interesting people who, like, first prime example was Gary, East City Whisky Club.
Yeah. Cool dude, very cool, very, very passionate about whiskey. And that's what you want. That's what you want. When I met him, he's talking about all these distilleries that don't exist. I think it was like Glenflager and about the blend. I was like, this is brilliant. And we're chatting away, and you know, I didn't know about this blend or this grain that they had there. I love that. Absolutely love that.
And like, even talking to Gary and talking about, I love it when it takes a wee while for him to do it, but he'll get you a wee rant about whiskey, and it's just pure passion. And even that is good for me. It's like, I love seeing that. I love seeing people passionate about what they do, and he's just talking about, albeit I might know everything he's talking about, but I think it's class that he's like, he loves it, and he's doing what, that's him in his flow state where he's just gone, this is important.
It's authentic.
That's
authentic. It's authentic, and
it's class.
And that's what you want. And you know, I've met people, I've done tastings where people are like, yep, but no, you got that wrong. You know, this is this, and they'll try to explain to you, and they'll try and know, and that's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine, and that might be their prerogative, and it's maybe only happened once, whatever. But you meet people and they'll go, right, you're passionate about whiskey. That's the most important thing. You love what you do. And I pinch myself every day with what I've done. And I've been fortunate enough to travel because of it. And went to different countries and meet my love and all these sort of amazing things. And I think that that's what whiskey is all about. It is about the people that you meet and the people that you chat with. And, you know, you're going to, what a great start to, you know, getting into whiskey, East City Whisky Club as well. And you'll start to find it more clubs, and you'll meet people that are eager and keen and passionate and authentic about whiskey. That's the sort of people that you want to be around.
We are fucked because we are going to need to explain. He's referred to his missus as his love. And
oh, my love is watching this as well.
Fuck up your big
I'm just matching the passion.
I know, that was passionate. I like that there.
I think speaking to you, it sounds like speaking to Guy. So you speak to people that are passionate with it and have got knowledge in it as well.
Yeah.
So isn't it comes across, and you take in the knowledge more because they're passionate about it. You really care about it in the way they deliver it. It's not you go to.
I think that anything that you do, right, anything that you do, as long as you're passionate about it, right? You can't say I can't say I'm passionate about it. I'm just, if I wasn't in this chair, my arms would be all over the place, right? Because that's the way I talk about life. That's right. I'm very animated, right? When I do a tasting. You ever come to my tastings, like all over the room?
Mate, I was at one year. That's how
and my partner's like, right, just stop pacing the room. Like, stop jumping about. But that's just me, because that's the way I talk about whiskey. And about my favourite drams, I love Kalila. I love Springbank. I really like Teaneck. I love Linkwood, right? That's my drams. I'd have never known about Linkwood, right, if I never got into whiskey, because it's primarily showcased more through independent bottling. Same with Teaneck, because it's used as a blending malt. It's showcased better, or say better, it's showcased more through independent bottling. And it's just, you find out all these amazing little facts and stories, and I know I say stories a lot, but that's what it's all about.
You're 100% right. That's kind of why I went head first into it. I was like, there's so much that I don't understand. So easy to get into it just by going to a tasting, having a dram, and then next thing you know,
you start an independent but do you know what? Right,
I was going to say, next thing you know, you fucked yourself with the first dram.
But do you know what? Like this shouldn't be, whiskey shouldn't be gatekeeped. It shouldn't be gatekeeped. If you love your whiskey and you're like, do you know what? I think I'm going to do something cool and I'm going to start my own whiskey brand. Fantastic. Free enterprise. Go for it.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the second dram?
I think it's lovely as well. I think it's lovely.
Don't know what that fucking rattling is. It's time or No, this one was Anton's favourite. As I said, Anton's a red wine drinker. Yeah. And I always started drinking red wine after this. And I think it was because I got match fit and drinking whiskey, and there was red wine elements to it, and I went back and done it.
You've done the reverse.
I done the good old reverse, aye.
No, I think it's a lovely drink. I really like Teaneck, and if I'm pronouncing it right, Teaneck.
People chin you all the time for saying it. I say it the same as you, Teaneck. Same with Dilewins. People come up with Dilewin, and people come up and say Dilween. And I'm like, I'm not going to say that you're right or wrong. I'm just saying what I know. Like, do you know what I mean? So, another guy, this is again coming from following you on Instagram, Ralphie.
Yep.
I met Ralphie. In fact, it was your tasting. North Star. Yeah. And I went up, and I'd been researching whiskey and looking and stuff on YouTube, and basically I went up for a pint. I was talking to the boys at the table, went up for a pint. He was just sitting at the end of the bar. Yeah. And he gave me cracking advice, but obviously we did 6 North Star drams and I did about 3 pints because I was nervous. I was there myself. Anton couldn't make it that night.
I remember speaking to you and you were like, you came out and all that, and it was great. So
I don't remember talking to you, man. I fucked that.
I think we've learned that lesson being a few whiskey tastings together. You more than me, the ones that came. The first handful we were drinking Guinness in between the drams. You realise that's a massive mistake.
You know, it's people that have been doing it for a long time. You know, you can drink your Guinness, whatever, but you'll start to notice they'll have pints of water. You pint of water in between. And
mate, I done that. So I done that at one of Gary's tastings. I had a pint of water between every 2-3 drams, maybe.
Good to keep yourself hydrated.
I walked out, I was like, I could drive home. Obviously I wouldn't, but I was like, I could drive home. I'm stone cold sober. And then Gary put one on for Glasgow 1770. Yeah. Gary brought an extra dram and they brought a rum. Yeah. So it was 8 drams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not kidding on. It was 25 minutes at half time, and I was rubber at half time. Then another 25 minutes, and I was like, Rebecca, you're going to need to come get me. I'm fucking steaming here. I was like, I've just no done this correctly whatsoever. So
Glasgow as well. Speaking of Glasgow, another great distillery. The stuff's great. I've been before, yeah. Their stuff's brilliant. They do the 3 expressions. They've got their double distilled, they've got their triple distilled, and they've got their peated, and it's good stuff.
I tried the peated. Again, at that point, we'd done 4 drams and maybe 6 drams in about 45 minutes. Yeah. And by the time I got to the peated, I was like, bang on the rum, man.
The Banditi rum. So I've not tried the rum actually.
Well, so we actually started distilling rum. That was
nice
our thing. No, us personally, we had a contract distiller.
Okay.
But so me and Anton were drinking, and let's call a spade, we were drinking, and me and my best mate our best mate Luke's flat.
Till early in the morning.
Aye, but we were drinking pints of rum Kraken and apple juice.
Okay.
And that's kind of
Pints. Okay.
Oh no,
That's
it's
not
full of alcohol.
Cracking apple juice is a dangerous.
It's dangerous, and you're like, makes you feel much of
a
this.
naughty apple juice.
Aye. So we were drinking stuff like that, but I was working down south, and I was like, I want to start a job where I could work for myself and not have to go down the road all the time, not have to go down to London. So I was working down in London Monday to Friday, come up on a Friday. I remember like 25, 26, and I was getting drunk. And then getting drunk Friday, Saturday, going back down the road Sunday, and I was rough, and I was like, I hate this, I want to start a job. Spoke to Anton, and then we ended up, we came to Deed Merchant Spice Rum. So that's what we started with. And so that's how we start. So we're in Acropolis Spirits, and we have Deed Merchant Spice Rum, and then we branched out into this because we were hitting certain problems. Well, it worked out almost romantically. We we were getting to a point where we're going selling the rum all the time, but you can't get the price down because you're not selling enough volume.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I was starting to realise that this might be a bit of a pain in the arse because you're going to need to invest millions to get the price all the way down, and then you're going to need to go and do advertising. Me and Anton still work full time. Do you know what I mean? It was never something that was going to be easy to do, or it was something that we were trying to turn into a hobby, which a lot of people who start gin or rum or tequila, they're all famous. So The Rock, Matthew McConaughey, they've all got all these. No, they're in Glasgow, we can't say that. But so
Ryan Reynolds with aviation chat. Yeah.
So all these things that's a sideline for them that they can get extra income. Whereas we were trying to turn it into a job.
Mm.
So we were hitting certain things, and we still have paid for everything ourselves, and that was the whole thing. Like we realised that we came to the end of it, but 6 months previous we realised that I was going into whisky tastings, independent bottoms. We called it the Acropolis Spirits because we were going to have more than. I realise I'm doing this and all because that's what I talk with my horns and all.
That's it. Yeah, I'm the same.
We called it the Acropolis Spirits, so we were always going to have more than one spirit.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where we're like, my whiskey is on our doorstep. We've never tried it. Well, we started drinking it, and I was like, well, this could work. We could try this. And what we don't do, we never say that we know everything about whiskey, and I don't think you need to know everything about whiskey to try and no sell whiskey, but we know everything about this, but we don't know everything about whiskey. We bottled whiskey the way we were drinking it. So we were drinking Speyside, like with a finish, maybe all of them are relatively sweet. The sherry cask, all that reflects the way we started drinking whiskey.
Uh-huh.
And the next stuff that we probably bottle is probably going to be a wee bit different. But to be honest, it's been like a year since we bought them. I've been drinking fucking mad stuff since then, so I don't really know that. I was in the house the other day, and I just had a pure notion for peated whiskey, and I only had Isla Rassi, if you've tried it.
Yep.
Beautiful bottle.
Yeah, it's lovely. Beautiful bottle. Good stuff.
Canned it, and I was like, I don't actually like that, but it was in my head. I was like, I want a peated whiskey, and I don't know why. I'd never had that before.
It's the notion you get sometimes. You're like, do you know what? I fancy a wee peated dram today. I want to go down that kind of maybe a sweet peat. I remember one time I went to I'd done a tour of Glenturret with my friends. I really like Glenturret Distillery. I think their spirit's really good, but that was the home of Famous Grouse, and it was beautiful kind of Lalique that's kind of invested in it, and I know a few people that work there, and they're really cool and beautiful decanters, and but I remember going in there, and the Lalique bar is incredible, best service I've ever had in my life, and I walked in. And I turned round, and it was like my glass was full. And I was like, "Wow, what's going on here?" And it's made from Lalique crystal. I know I'm kind of saying it's very, but it's a very fancy luxury place. And I said to the sommelier, he went, "What would you like, Marcos?" And I went, "Can you give me a dram of sweet peat?" And he went, "I'll get you sweet peat straight away." And all my friends went, "Oh, Marcos, you've made a disaster of this." And I went, "Why?" He went, "You never told my price."
Oh no.
And I went, "That's a very good point. I haven't told him a price for this dram." So I'm paranoid going, what's he going to bring back to me? Oh no, what's he going to bring back to me? And he was so clocked on with whiskey. I remember him, Julian, lovely guy. And he brought me back a 15-year-old single cask Ballachin for the Whisky Exchange. and it was sweet pea. It was exactly what I wanted. It was perfect. It was like barbecue brisket, bacon fries, just unbelievable dram. And right at that point, I was like, you've just hit it the nail on the head. That is exactly what I wanted at that time, and you picked it without me even saying distillery. So Ballanchin is peated Edredale that they make there, and oh man, that was absolutely phenomenal.
Two things, Glen Turret have that beautiful bottle shape, don't they?
Yeah.
I remember seeing it. I don't think I've ever tried it. Then going out to the Scotch Malt Whisky Society.
Yeah.
Again, we tried to do a business meeting one night. Fucking hell.
Business meeting.
Aye, we asked for a sweet
no.
peat. We asked for a sweet peat and we told them the price that we wanted. So we done what you never made me. The guy came back and ordered the Merkin.
Nice.
Oh my
Great.
god. I was like, this stuff is... I wish I knew more about it, but it's...
The Merkin's amazing.
It's a Whisky Society.
Their stuff's absolutely incredible.
Oh,
They've only been going for just over 10 years, and they do peated, they do unpeated, and both of the spirit is just incredible. I prefer the peated, especially on like a kind of really like maybe like a PX or something like that. It's absolutely outstanding. Yeah, their stuff's really good.
I think it's it was class to see that guy bringing that back. And then Anton ruined it because the guy left the bottle in it. You can tell the story actually because you've done it.
Oh no.
We played the gentleman. The gentleman left. They leave what on the table? I know whiskey bottles. And he left the bottle of whiskey. Obviously, look at it for us. See, I was like, you want a glass of wine? And he's like, aye. So I just went and poured myself a glass of wine. And he's like, wow, looks a bit dark. And I was like, oh, it's just the reflection of the table lifted up. Full glass, probably maybe about
It was that size of glass.
up about there.
No, mate, it was fucking up to about there.
Aye, maybe about up to there. The glass was
Mate, it was
small.
about 70 quid worth of whiskey because it was like 9 quid drams we were doing.
Okay.
It took a while.
Okay.
Aye, so I was, don't want to grass him in, but he's like, we'll write it off as wastage. I was like, mate.
Wastage means
I've
take
not
the
been-
bags out, innit?
I've not been back.
You don't want to show face?
I might not be back. I might not have a fucking membership anymore.
Was that in Glasgow or at the Vaults?
Glasgow. I've got a voucher to do Portaleith. I want to
That's
go and do...
a really cool distillery. You should go there.
Aye.
That's where actually I took Olivia on our first date. I took her on a date before I took her on our first date. Portaleith was very cool though. So
Aye,
keen bean, but no, Portaleith was fantastic actually.
I think there's a lot to do in Edinburgh. Obviously Glasgow's got good pubs, but Edinburgh's got Scotch Malt Whisky Society, two of them.
They've got the one in
Queen Street?
Queen Street, and they've got the one in Leith in the
And then
Vaults.
they've got the Scotch Whisky Experience, Johnny Walker Experience.
Yeah, amazing.
Portaleith. I think there's
Fantastic.
another distillery, is there no?
Holyrood Distillery.
Holyrood. Aye. Do they do tours?
Yeah, they do
Fuck's
tours
sake,
as
I'm
well,
going to
so-
do a fucking week all inclusive.
So they're good, really good. Holyrood, they experiment with different kind of malts as well and yeast strains. I believe they've done a whiskey which was the yeast strain was like from the Black Plague in London, something mental for like 800 years. It was absolutely
What?
incredible. Yeah,
That sounds mental.
Their stuff's, I think their stuff's really good as well. Same with Portaleith. I've tried their few kind of grains that they've bottled. Very interesting because I believe it's the world's first vertical distillery. So it all works with gravity, but it's just a spectacle to go and see it.
I
So-
remember seeing that.
and they've got a really good bar as well, the Portaleith bar. They've got like really cool stuff like old cutty sarts for like the 1970s, 80s, and yeah, you should go in there. Really cool drums in there.
I'm looking forward to going and doing it. Talking about my girlfriend and stuff, and I said that we as I said, we paid for all this stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that I basically was like, I want to make a job for myself that makes sense. And I didn't foresee down the line that my girlfriend looking at it would go, you're just out boozing all the time. And I said, well, that's kind of the job that I wanted to make for myself, so I could go out, have pints, go to tastings, go to distillery tours, do stuff like that. I'm never going to be... I'm glad you've got a girlfriend that understands it, but I don't think mine's ever going to
I think
understand it.
like working for yourself, I've never done it before, and it will be daunting to having to go out and provide and all that, and having your own business. But if you believe in what you do, right, and you believe in your product, and people see the passion behind it, and you grafting, you do well.
There was a joke in there somewhere.
There was a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, I'm going to put another dram. Right, last one that we're going on to is the final bottling. Probably the richest that we've got is a Glenallachie.
Okay.
It's 10 years in an or also sherry cask. What's your thoughts on sherry casks?
Okay. Full maturation and sherry.
Full maturation and sherry.
Yeah, I mean, aye, you can. It's definitely not been in bourbon. That's it's quite dark in colour.
Do you have like? Are you alright with sherry cask? Are you alright with everything?
I do like a sherry cask. Thank you very much. Thank you. Ooh. That's quite rich, isn't it?
That is aye.
Dainty, syrupy. I love the nose on it.
Sorry, mate.
Just reminds me of Sunkist raisins. Do you remember the little red packets of Sunkist raisins you used to get as a kid?
Do you know what?
I used to get them in your lunchbox. You went. That reminds me of.
It's the first tasting that we've had, the Sunkist raisins, but I like it.
I like it as well.
But it's Sunkist right? Yeah, I've said this. But this is Sunkist raisins, but you've been in school and you've left in your pocket from when your mum gave them to you to the end of the day, and it's been a hot summer's day.
Yeah, that's fucking mad. I know exactly what
they stick to the inside of the cardboard.
Yeah, I had no thought of them in about 25 years.
There you go. Nostalgia.
That must have been primary one. I remember saying as soon as I got to him, I hated fucking raisins. Sorry, I've had a few drams. That's me started swearing now. What's your thoughts? Totally silence for that all.
It's not bad. No, it's not bad actually. Okay, a little bit of spice coming through.
And I don't know why I see people that try this who haven't drank a lot of whiskey. A lot of them say it's very woody. Which is...
There is a wood influence coming through. I definitely noticed that when I tried it.
I don't understand what that means. I like it. In fact, I love this one. Like that. The second one, I could easily miss it.
Yeah.
But Anton loves it, so...
We had to have it.
We had to have it, aye. I love the first one is... The first one's very, very meaty. It's very meaty. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot to it. I heard somebody explained it well. It's like, it's chewable.
Yeah.
It's thick. And that one's one of the ones that I could smell and get lost in, thinking about it. Do you know what I mean?
I think for the Glenallachie, apologies for smashing that up. See, we were talking, we were doing the rum. It was all important today. How many bottles can you sell?
Yeah.
When it started with whiskey and we were discussing single malts, and it was quality over quantity. Is I was going to tasting things with you and trying it. And what, that's amazing. I'd love to buy a bottle. I went, can I buy a bottle of that? I'm like, what? They're like, that's it done. There only was X amount of bottles, and I think I was quite big of that one. It was Glenallachie, and that Shelley also Hogshead was, it's quite rare. So that was a big allure for me. It was to try things that are rare that you might not find, and if you maybe don't take a bottle now, you might not get it. And that is something special. You might not go hang a bottle in a night. You're going to keep it for a nice special occasion.
Kind of a FOMO, kind of fear of missing out idea.
So that was the other thing I was kind of realising, is that some people have like that whole opinion that when you buy something, and I still have it as well, like, oh, it's 75 quid for a bottle of whiskey. I can't remember how much I paid for that Hazelburn, but that's going to be there for a couple of years. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a big drinker in the house. It's maybe special occasions. You don't need to buy a bottle of whiskey and tan it the same night. It's not like a bottle of tonic wine. You know what I mean? It's not Buckfast. You're not buying something to finish it the same night. You're buying something, I don't want to say investment because it's not an investment, but you're buying something to have. Like I know for sure I've bought, so I got my fireplace tested to make sure it works right. I know I've bought one bottle of whiskey for when that fireplace works and I can put it on and have a dram it, and it's that brassy stuff. Do you know what I mean? I know that's what it's for. It's not going to be a summer's day dram, it's going to be for later on.
Cold,
you know what I mean?
Aye, kind of cold winter months.
I might walk in the house soaking with a dog, going fucking get that fire on. But saying that, I actually wouldn't know how to put a fire on. It's not a gas fire. I need to actually start a fire in my own house and then hope to fuck the house to the burn down.
It's always famous last words, as it says.
Famous last words. It's funny how you mentioned that the raisins. I had no thought of them genuinely about 25 years. No. That's crazy how
it does. It has a little bit of that. There's a woody influence. Some people might like it, some people won't. But the thing about it is this is why whiskey is subjective. It is subjective in terms of what you're trying. Some people might not like a rum cask. Some people will love a rum cask. Some people don't like sherry. Some people love sherry, bourbon, etc. And it's just trying to find what you like. And people getting into whiskey might try 10 different whiskies and go, I don't like that. There is a whiskey in my opinion, there's a whiskey for every single person that's out there. There is. Whereas guys that have turned around and said to me, I've never drank a whiskey in my life, and I go, well, try that, and they go, my goodness, that's like apples, Marcos. And I was like, it's really good.
Actually,
what do you like? And they tell you what you like and what their flavour profile is. I've always tried that, and it's just trying to, get them involved in whiskey.
We get so I'll talk to people at like markets and stuff, and I'll go, right, this is what we've got. This is a red wine, and you're going, oh, brilliant, and then they go, it still tastes like whiskey. And I was like, aye, but it was just in a red wine cask. It still is whiskey at the heart of it, and it always will be whiskey. It just is in a red wine cask, or it's in a sherry cask.
Yeah.
And I get a wee bit upset because it isn't sherry, it kind of tastes like whiskey. It's the opposite way about, do you know what I mean? It's just one of the things where I'm the same as you. I think there's a whiskey for every single person going.
There is.
I think there is. I think I'll find one for my bird eventually. Fiance, I should call her that, on my love, like you used to, gassing me in. But it's just one of the ones where it's, I used to say it was like a spectrum for like fruity to peated.
Yeah.
Also now I think it's like a big circle because there's points in every.
Oh, definitely. There's savoury, there's sweet, there's umami. There's like all these different flavour profiles. Like wow,
Oh mate, what the fuck does umami mean?
So umami's like is very savoury.
Is it?
It's hard umami. Yeah. You've trumped me on 3 drams in as well, but
Mate,
no, like, umami is kind of like, well, it's like I believe it's a flavour. I'm not too sure exactly.
Umami that describes like a flavour profile. You don't have to feel like Wagaman is.
Umami is very
Umami,
umami's savoury. It's very savoury.
Right, okay.
So if you have an umami flavour profile, it's very savoury when it comes
I'm
to
pretty
it.
sure I seen something recently and it was.
You get soup and it's like umami flavour that's coming through there as well. So
I'm pretty sure. Was it umami? There's like different types of tastes and flavours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking butchering this because we're recording this. But I'm pretty sure umami we just got as a point of flavour, like there's sweet, sour thing with, and then that becomes like its own thing.
that's it. I know. I thingied myself there. Umami's that kind of savoury. So like there's a kind of flavour profile that you have within there. I've tried a few whiskies that are very umami flavoured that's coming through. Like umami's like tomato vines. That kind of ideal.
Not tried it either.
No, but it's because sometimes people don't want a sweet whiskey. They'll rather go through that flavour profile.
Definitely, I think again, going back to wanting that peaty whiskey, it was never. I never wanted a sweet whiskey that night. And I was like, it's something very peaty, not sweet.
Yeah.
And I was like, the only thing I've got is the Rassi, but it was because I bought that for future reference. And again, I don't know how this works. And I think it's just me being an absolute idiot, but it's the PT references came back into my head again. Maybe in the last week or so, gone, I'm looking forward to trying more PT whiskey. So that's next on the jet. I'm not going for these 2 PT whiskies, but I'm going to just try.
The thing about it is, like, I remember being in the Bonner Cod and someone said to me, "Don't drink Lafroig. It's too peated." And I went, "I'm going to stop you right now. Try a Lafroig 10-year-old sherry oak finish. Beautiful colour, 48%, so it's a higher ABV." And they tried it and went, "My goodness, that is fantastic." And I mean, it's because of the sherry influence that's cut through the peat a little bit. That kind of medicinal, they say TCP, which is like, smells like the inside of a hospital, or like nobody's licking inside the hospital floors, right? You don't want that. But it's that flavour profile that's coming through, and they tried it and went, "No, I really like that." Again, through the different cast type that you're using there as well, can cut through a little bit of that peat, that little bit of that medicinal peat. And I think that's a brilliant Lafroig to introduce people into Lafroig if they think it's just too peated.
So what do you think is the most requested whiskey you probably get? Like, as it
in terms of
for North Star, what because I this is maybe for a different side. So I do like a lot of festivals, markets, and I let people try what we've got.
Yeah.
And we done the SEC, which is not a drinkers market. It was just we were there. There was loads of footfall, but people kept coming up, "Oh, I like whiskey, what have you got? Smoky."
Yeah. And
I'm not kidding on, 95% of the people who came up asking for smoky whiskey was women.
I think well, that's brilliant. I think that with smoky whiskey, people are very passionate about peated whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that for me, on Isla, the best peated whiskey, again, it's my opinion, is Kahlua. It's such a robust spirit that you can tell the distinctive distillery character coming through, regardless of what you mature it in. It's so good. It's almost like kind of eating fish, you know, like fish in a barbecue. It's like next to the sea, you've got a salinity. It's beautiful. It depends on, you know, what you are thinking. You know, I don't know if it's what you are thinking in bottling next. If you want to go down peated route, I love peated whiskey. And again, if you'd asked me years ago, I'd peated, no way. You know, I'm only getting into this. You know, my unpeated single malts. And then you'll notice that some whiskies are a little bit peated. For example, Springbank, I believe, is what, 8 to 10 ppm, so that's parts per million of what has been. And you get, again, it's through in my opinion, it's through the maturation within Campbelltown, that kind of Gulf Stream that affects the flavour profile, this kind of like diesely dunnage, almost like kind of citrus orange that's coming through it. Beautiful, absolutely love it. But I love peated whiskey, I absolutely love it. And there's a peated whiskey again for everybody out there.
Well, I'm new at the scene than you. And I'm with my brother-in-law to a gig, met a bar after. He loves peated whiskey, been doing whiskey for decades. He was like, what'd you like? He's playing blah blah. So what peated whiskey? I went, nah, I don't really like it. He went, it's the best thing to do is like, say you first start drinking beer, you don't really like it. So just go into the deep end. He got me Lefroy, got me something else.
Not by the way.
Just threw me straight to the deep end. But see, once you'd had that really strong peated one, see now the lighter ones, I'm like, that's actually alright. Now that's me building back up the scale.
It's funny because like people go, oh, Lefroy's really peated, but compared to what else is on the market, Lefroy's not that peated. Like Octomore, for example, is like sometimes.
Is that
like,
Ardmore?
No, Octomore is there's three guys. So you've got Bruichladdich Distillery, and then they produce Port Charlotte, and then they produce Octomore. And Octomore is like heavily peated. I believe it's the highest ppm, so that's parts per phenolic million. So that's how you measure it, right? Through the barley when they smoke it, and it's like over 200 ppm in these, and it's. But the thing is I've tried some Octomores and went, well, I actually think the Lefroy's more smokier. And then you try some Octomores and go, well, I think that's more smokier than. So it just depends on. There's so many different contributing factors in whiskey that you can't just. As much as it's a science, there's an art to it as well.
Aye, mate, you're so right. It is a fucking science, but like, you see, once you find, like, see that Ardnamurchan, that was like a proper like shock to me. I was like, I never thought I'd like eating peated, even if it was sweet. I was like, oh my god, there's a fucking different world out there. Like, I loved it. Right, on to, I think we've got one more question. And it was, what do you see your future? And I know, in fact, you go for it, you've had 3 dams. What's your future hold?
Aye, good question. So I'm hoping that, well, in the next few days I'll be starting a new brand as a brand ambassador. I'll not say who, because I've been told, you know, sworn to secrecy, but I think that whiskey, as long as I think the future's bright for whiskey. I think people are really worried right now about whiskey. There's a lot of whiskey that's out there. There is a lot of independents, but I think that the independents that are in there for the right reasons are going to do well. People are going to invest in that brand. And as long as you're passionate about it and you're in it for the right reasons, you're absolutely sorted. But for regards to me, I just love being around people, talking about whiskey, socialising. It's great. It's the best thing I've ever done. So,
good. Well, you talk about whiskey very well. And thank you very much for coming.
No, thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
I think anybody that's watching feel that passion.
I hope so.
And I'm presuming people that are in the camera have learned nearly as much as us, do you know what I mean? There's that much to learn, there's that much to learn.
I've also learned a lot for myself. Don't pour a massive first one and fucking worry about what you're saying for the rest of the night.
But how long have you guys, well, here's a wee thing asking you guys, how long have you been doing it for when Necropolis?
You interview us for a wee...
Well, I thought turn the spotlight in the spotlighter. No, how long has you guys been doing it for?
So we started in 2022, end of November 2021.
For rum?
For rum, aye.
The first bottle sold autumn 2022, November.
Aye, so...
That's rum.
So we started with rum and loved it. And I think we explained already, but we loved cracking and apple juice. That's what we were drinking all the time. Anytime we were together, we just started drinking that. But then when we got to a certain stage, you're like, oh, this is the problem. And I was thinking, oh, this might be curtains for Necropolis Spirits. Like, I didn't expect it to be as hard. Because at that point, both of us were still working full time.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, we're still working full time. We're not going to go home. We've not spent a lot of money. We've not done anything that's going to cost us like anything really. We've put our heart and soul into it, but realistically, we're not going to be homeless. Done that, and then about the time I was realising that rum might not work because you need a fucking hundreds of volume. We discovered independent bottling, but I had already started drinking whiskey, and I was like, this is fucking dynamite. So, as we said, and I don't even think we've showed you, my phone's on that table there, but we put an NFC chip in the label. But when you scan that, that's right there. When you scan it, it takes you to a web page that shows you our full process. So we've been getting the labels printed, getting like the bottles filled, just showing as much as we could, just to try and be as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
And we're doing it, well, because it was me that kind of forced him into it. I was like, Anton, whiskey's class, this is the next thing that we want to go. And I want to learn about whiskey, but I don't want to say that we know everything about whiskey. I want to learn about whiskey way folk. This is us bottling whiskey that we drink or we like. And then we'll start bottling other stuff, and this will follow the path that we start drinking whiskey. Unfortunately, we started drinking that kind of whiskey and my palate just went mental. So as I said, I went from fucking light floral Speyside to peat, and I've got peated drams in the house. So again, it's just, that's kind of how we ended up just doing something that, see, at the end of the day, I actually just love going out talking to folk. And
I'm the same. I like meeting people. I think with whiskey, it does bring a lot of people together. I've met some of my best friends through whiskey. And
your love.
And exactly, and I think that the people that I've met through whiskey, I know I'll name drop him, but Thomas McDonough of the Bon Accord had a lot of time for me when I started getting into whiskey. I remember the first time going to the bar. It's an amazing whiskey club that he does. Same with the Piper, amazing place as well. But I remember going there after my shifts when I worked at Clydeside, and I tried to get into this whiskey club, and they'd turn up to the bar and they'd be like, right, can I go? Not tonight, son. I remember, and then one time he went, go down and see my dad, Paul McDonough, who's not here anymore, which is an absolute legend, such a lovely man in the whiskey industry. And I sat down and we had some drams, and I'll never forget this story. I remember he talked about Deanston. I went, oh, Deanston, it was established in 1966, and he stopped me and went, it's established in 1967, son. I've been in the whiskey industry for a long time, and I always laugh about it. He's such a lovely, humble man, and I learned a lot about whiskey. And it's the sort of people, I know you've been speaking to him about when you started Necropolis, and it's those sort of people that guide you through whiskey. And for some reason, he has a lot of time for me, and he's a lovely person, and I've learned a lot in that short period of time. And that's just one of so many folk, amazing folk that I've met within the whiskey industry. So I think it brings a lot of people together. And he's an awesome dude, and I've got so much time for him to do anything for the guy. He was almost like my brother. Well, he is my brother. But I think that you're right. Get into the whiskey for the right reasons. You'll learn as you go along. You've started up, right, and you've delved in the deep end with going. And as long as, another thing I would say is, as long as you bottle what you like, it's the most important thing.
It goes back to authenticity.
Don't bottle something that you go, well, I think that would sell, or bottle what you taste and you go, I like that, then you bottle it. You know, I think that's being very authentic, and it's representing you, being an independent bottler. Just
going back to Thomas, I went in to go and try and sell my bottle, and obviously he's got whatever's going on in the pub. And I spoke to him and I was like, look, I'm trying to do a podcast, we're going to talk to people in the industry and just have a chat. And I've heard you had a good laugh. And I actually had met him before, but I don't think he remembered. But the first two people we recommended was Marcos and Gillian for the Piper.
Yeah,
Gillian's meant to be doing Man the Mora, but I fucked up and never booked it with Paul.
No.
So Paul's going out for the football. And that aye, so am I actually, but he had a lot. He was talked to Marcos, he's very helpful. He's been very, very good. He's exactly what you want. And then he said, "Well, I can't go and do something like that because I'm very busy." But then he proceeded to spend 45 minutes just talking to me, and I was like, "Mate, that's unreal. That's more than anybody's done for me."
He's got a lot of time. He's got a lot of time for people.
He was very, very, very helpful.
I think that he's a very kind-hearted soul. He's a gentle giant, I would call him. And if it wasn't for him, I need to thank him for me being in the whisky industry. He's definitely helped me. And I'll never forget that. He's a really good dude. And the Bon Accord he makes the Bon Accord. People think, it's the McDonough family that make the Bon Accord, how good it is.
It's a lovely pub.
It's a cranking pub, and I've learned a lot. I've had a lot of drams there, a lot of good time, a lot of steak pie. But nah, he's a fantastic person. Fantastic person. So.
Well, Marcos, thank you very much for coming.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Really
Hopefully we'll go and watch our team win tonight.
Hopefully. That's it. Hopefully 2-0. I'll take that.
Fucking 8/5 will do me. Anyway, thanks very much, Marcos. Right, well,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much for watching. I highly doubt anyone's got to the end of this, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Definitely, man.
Catch you later, man. Cheers.